Welcome back to the IE427 garage, everybody. We're working on the Mark IV King's Cobra today, and we're done. The only things that we're working on that are related to this car are little things like cutting out some pieces of carpet for the door sills for the car owner so that when he gets the car painted, he'll have an extra piece for that. I'm making some mesh for the front openings, the brake duct openings, and the oil cooler openings. And then we're gonna get to cleaning this thing, because you can see she's a little bit dusty. All right, so I have the roll of carpeting down from upstairs. I'm going to take the templates that I have and I'm going to cut out some pieces of carpet that are actually going to go right here inside where the door sills are. So that inner portion right there that wraps over the top, what we're going to do is we're going to create two pieces of carpeting that are one piece. So as they're delivered for this Mark IV anyways, the pieces from the kit are two. There's one for the side and one for the top. And there's a seam right along the edge. And to me, that's just asking for trouble, because each time you enter or exit the vehicle, you're gonna touch or rub that with your feet, and it's gonna peel back one way or the other. Either the side piece is gonna peel down, or you're gonna peel the top piece off, or both. And so rather than putting any trim, metal trim or anything like that, we're just gonna make that carpet all one piece for the piece that we're going to provide to the car owner. And then he'll have that when he goes and paints the car. He can pull the piece out that we've got temporarily mounted in there now, put the new piece on, and he'll be able to finish off the car. Other things that I'm working on is I've got some of this gutter guard, and that's what you'll find it as in the home center. So it's this mesh, and this piece used to be about 36 inches long. I've cut it into, I don't know, I think these are 9.5 inch pieces. We're gonna put these in our stamp, and those are gonna be the pieces that go in here and over here. Now I've already got a piece made for the oil cooler opening. Let me go out to the main shop. I'll grab that and I'll show you what it looks like. The difference in temperature between the main shop and the workshop is just unbelievable. Today it's 92, 94 degrees out here in the main shop. I've got the thermostat set to 80 degrees in the main shop, but it's like culture shock when you walk out into the main shop. Anyway, so this is the piece that I cut for that oil cooler opening, and I put a brake on the edge here and on the edge here, and then the car owner can cut this to size and then put it in the car with some adhesive. Now, normally we would do this, but since he's going to wait to get the car painted, he's going to have to put this in himself. I've got my template here. So this is a piece of Mark III carpeting for that door sill and sidewall section of the car. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this to cut off two new pieces from the big roll of carpeting that I have here. And this is an exact match to that carpet that's provided in the kit. So we're going to cut off a piece for the right and a piece for the left side of the car, and those will be done. And then I've got the cover plate that's going to go on the driver's side footback box to put in place. I've got the IE427 key fob that we need to put in place. And in between now and then, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start working on cleaning the car up. So what I'm going to do is I've got a bucket of water right here. I used to have a sink out in the other shop. I don't have a sink in this shop yet. I will at one point. But I've got our, what does Harbor Freight call this thing? Synthetic chamois. Now, I used to have the name brand one. I can't remember what they call it. But this one works just as well as that one. I don't remember how much I paid for this one at Harbor Freight, but what I do is I just keep it damp. I wring it out so it's not dripping wet, but it's also not super dry. And then using the bucket, I'll continue to clean the chamois out, and I'm just gonna start going after the gel coat on the car. Now, I never, in the entirety of the time that I had Slytherin in gel coat, ever put any type of cleaner. I never put any type of detail spray or anything like that. My fear, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but this is the way I looked at it. I did not want any chemical on that gel coat so that when the painter, in our case Jeff Miller, painted it, I didn't want him to have to fight any type of additive, any silicone additive or anything that may have been in anything that I sprayed on the car. So I just completely stayed away from anything that I could spray on the car, even if I thought it was going to make it look better. The gel coat in itself is shiny enough, and you know, at some points in Slytherin's life, I grafted on new back fenders. So those weren't even the black shiny gel coat. Those were just a flat black type of automotive primer that I got permission from Jeff Miller to use. And even with that, I always cleaned with a clean, damp chamois to keep the car clean. Now that it's painted, I just use the car duster, but and detail spray. But when it was in gel coat, this was just the easiest way to clean it. And going to car shows, and yes, I did do car shows even back then, what I would do is I would dampen the chamois before I would leave for the car show, and then when I would get there, I would keep it in this plastic container that the chamois come in, and it would keep it damp enough that I could clean the vehicle at a car show if, you know, I had accumulated any dust, dirt, or anything else on the way to or from the car show. It just made it really easy to, you know, give it a quick wipe down. So that's what I'm going to use to clean this car up. I'm not going to set up the tripod or anything. You'll just have to trust me. I'll bring you back when I get a particular section of the car wiped down. Now, I'm not going to use the chamois to clean the side pipes or the wheels or anything like that. I'm only going to use it to clean the gel coat and maybe the windshield. For the chrome and for the wheels and that, I'll probably use just the multi-purpose cleaner. And you guys always hear me call it multi-purpose cleaner, but really what it is, it's an ammonia-free glass cleaner, and that's the company. Now, I've just found that this stuff works the best for cleaning the windshield, cleaning the chrome, and it'll actually, on the painted or the gel coat surface, it'll actually clean the surface without leaving a residue. So I like it. And it doesn't evaporate as quickly as some of the other, you know, window cleaners, as they call them. So that's the stuff that I use when I'm referring to multi-purpose cleaner. I used, you know, probably a half a can of that stuff, cleaning up the underside of the car when we had that leak. And so, you know, looking under there now, it appears like we were never there, like the leak never happened. So that's what I use, and we'll use that on the louvers here on the side of the car. We'll use it on the wheels, we'll use it on the side pipes, and we'll use it on the windshield and any of the other chrome, like around the gauges, and we'll clean the glass of the gauges with it, and so stuff like that. Now, I'll use like an old t-shirt, like 100% cotton t-shirt with this, rather than a microfiber. The reason I do that is the microfiber just doesn't seem to absorb as well as an old t-shirt. And you're gonna wanna make sure, like I said, it's 100% cotton t-shirt. If it's got any printing on it, like screen printing, just turn it inside out. That's what I do. I use all my old hot rod t-shirts and stuff. They end up being rags to clean windows. So that's what I'm working on. I'll bring you guys back just as soon as I get like one section of the car cleaning. You'll see what a difference just wiping it down does. Well, I will be the first to admit that when you first look at the car, it doesn't look much different. It isn't until you can actually see all the dust that was created while we were, you know, fitting the panels, the hood, the trunk deck lid and stuff like that, the doors, until you can actually understand how much dust is actually on the car. So I haven't addressed the inside of the car. I'll do that probably just before I carpet. So everything needs to be wiped down on the inside of the car, but I did wipe the inside of the doors. I just haven't done the dash and you know, stuff like that. But here, take a look right here. You can see the fenders, you know, they look like they've looked for a while. You know, the parting seams where the mold comes together aren't going to go away. But look out here where that thick layer of dust is still on the car. Now I'm wiping the car down, and as I'm doing it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get these marks that we made for the latches removed. I did the same thing over on the driver's door because I still had some black marker on that door where I had trimmed the door a little bit. But the only thing I have left to wipe down right now, as far as the body, is the hood. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that chamois that I have, or that synthetic chamois, and I'm wringing it out, but not to where it's completely dry, and then I'm wiping whatever the surface is. I'm trying to do like a panel at a time, and I'm getting all the dust off of it, and then I'm flipping it inside out, folding it over, and then wiping everything down again. Now, it'll probably get wiped down again before it goes home, at least once, if not multiple times, depending on when it either gets picked up or we drop it off. But by flipping the rag, I keep all that dust and everything kind of inside the chamois, and then I'm given a new clean surface to go ahead and wipe it clean. So it's kind of the same thing you do when you know, use a wash mitt and water, but honestly, I've never washed a Cobra that way. I just don't feel like using a hose in an open car is a really good idea, because one slip and now the interior is wet. Not that you know, you're not going to have a pop-up rainstorm or something when you're driving, but try to keep the moisture out of the inside all I can. So I generally use the same type of procedure when I clean Slytherin. I'll hit it with the car duster, and depending on how long it's been since I've cleaned the car, I may take that damp chamois and go over the car just to get any kind of dirt that the car duster doesn't take off, and then I'll hit it with the detail spray. But I've never washed my car with a bucket and you know, a wash mitt and a hose and that. I don't think there's a need for it, because generally these cars don't get that dirty. Now, if you're using your car for a daily driver, that may be a different story. But so I've got the car pretty much all wiped down except for the hood, and I'm going to tackle that next. I'll probably catch up with you guys tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead tomorrow, I think, and I'm going to do the tires. So as you've seen in the past, I don't do tire dressing. I use the mechanics wipes. And I just saw a picture posted on one of the Facebook pages where a guy cleaned up his entire car, took a picture of it. He says, oh, I forgot to do the tire dressing. As far as I'm concerned, stay away from the tire dressing, because it acts as an attractant towards dust. Where if you clean them with the mechanics wipe, they're not sticky and they don't just attract dust. It gets them nice and clean and nice and black, but it doesn't like introduce dust into your newly, you know, finished tires. And to me, it makes the white letters on the tires look dirty too. So with the mechanics wipes, the white letters stay white, you know, somewhat, and then it doesn't, you know, basically put this sticky layer on the tires. It's just going to suck dust right into it and look bad, you know, look bad in a week or so. So I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow, and we'll continue cleaning this thing up so we can get it ready to go home. It is the next day, everyone, and next evening, and got a bunch of stuff done on the car, but it's the little stuff, you know? It's, well, I'll show you. So for instance, I started on cleaning up the engine bay, and tonight it was just turn on the compressor and using compressed air just to blow all the dust out of the engine compartment. And of course, some of that dust got back on the body of the car, but this won't be the last time we wipe down the body of the car, so I'm not too worried about it. But while I was cleaning the windshield, I thought, you know what, this is a perfect time to go ahead and get one of our windshield banners on. And every car that we build gets one of these. So, you know, and I know some owners are going to like it. Some owners are going to take it off as soon as we deliver the car, and that's okay. But, you know, we want everybody to know who built this car. If you sport one of our window banners and we've built one of your cars, or you've purchased one of the window banners, we certainly do appreciate it because, you know, we work really hard on these cars and we want to make them our own, meaning we want everyone to know that we built it. So the window banner went on tonight, and while I was at it, what I did was I grabbed a key fob from upstairs as well. So we've got one of our IE427 key fobs. And then I've got the extra key down there. Now I only received one of the factory 5 keys from the car owner, so you know I put that one along with the key for both the trunk and the hood. On that key ring, he's got an extra key for the hood and the trunk deck lid, so he can put that on with his other key onto a separate key ring. I went ahead and grabbed the wheel center and I put that in. Now I'm going to give you a little tip on that center for the wheel. There is a hole drilled in the center of it before you put the emblem in place. And what you have to remember is that even though they kind of redesigned that center cap that goes on there, and it still has the single hole in the middle, the problem with it is they've gone to a different center emblem that goes in the center of that polished aluminum center that goes in the steering wheel. And because it's solid and it mounts with 3M style two-sided tape, it cuts off that hole that's drilled in the center, so it creates a vacuum. And no matter what you do to try to push that thing in, it wants to pop back off. Now, if you're not using some type of lubricant on the O-ring, which I strongly suggest you do, you might get it in there and it may stay. But two things. We put a little bit of Vaseline or petroleum jelly on the O-ring when it goes in, so that in the future, if you never need to pull that thing out, it will slide out and not have you have to cause harm to that wheel center or the steering wheel in order to get the wheel center out. What we do now is we actually drill a hole in the outside of that center section, just inside of the O-ring, but into the center of the wheel center or the cap. And what that allows it to do is, as it's going in, it can displace that air and the wheel center will go right in. So there's a little tip for you if you want to be able to, one, get your wheel center to go in easier, drill that hole and lubricate it a little bit with some petroleum jelly, and make sure you drill that secondary hole in there, because otherwise it's just going to create a vacuum and you're not going to be able to get it on. I did have to change out the center bolt in our steering wheel because for some reason the cap head screw, the Allen head cap head screw that was in there, and I don't know if it was the one that came with the kit or just one that I had here in the shop that I put in there, was a little bit too tall, and the center cap didn't want to go in. So I changed it out to just a standard hex bolt, had a shallower profile, but you could use a button head screw or something like that if you're having trouble to get that cap to seat. So a lot more than you probably wanted to know about that center cap, but you know, I'm here to help you guys, and I'm here to document everything for the car owner so that, you know, when he goes to reassemble the car after he has it painted, then he'll know all this stuff. Other things that I did tonight since I was upstairs, I wanted to go through the boxes and bring down everything I thought I would need to complete the car. So I brought the spinners, the center spinners, down for the car. I asked the car owner if he wanted us to install this. He told me yes. So we're going to go ahead probably tomorrow night and we're going to install those on the wheels and hopefully get the front engine bay of the car cleaned up. I think one of the last things I'm going to do is actually clean up the interior. Now I did spend some time in the trunk adjusting the tilt switch for the light. And I've got the battery disconnected again, but so you guys won't see the light come on. But you can see I had to mount it at an angle there. I don't know if I can zoom in there and you guys can see it. So it's mounted at an angle that's a little bit different than the actual arm of the trunk deck lid. And I just kind of played with it using a tie wrap until I knew that I had it adjusted properly. And then I went ahead and pulled the adhesive strip off the back and then stuck it to the hinge. So it's in, it's working, and about the only thing we have left to do in the trunk is get it vacuumed and cleaned out, and then that part of the car is ready to go. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna catch up with all of you tomorrow, and then we'll spend some time, like I said, putting the wheel centers on and then finishing up under the hood and getting it all cleaned up. I did, like I said, take some compressed air and kind of blew all the dust off. But there's still some residue that kind of sticks to everything, and so we'll wipe everything down. It's gonna look really pretty when we're all done. All right, everybody, the video's running long, so I'm gonna cut it here. Make sure to tune in again next week where we continue cleaning up the King's Cobra. And if you're enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.